So welcome to ODC, aka Off the Cuff, aka the place you come when you want to spend an hour or two or three or four and feel right at home. I'm your man Big Jefe, along with my professor over here, ULIKA. All right, we've got a couple of entertaining episodes coming your way with a special guest and all. Here to talk about our main topic today, military experiences for former and current personnel and the transition back into civilian life. We're just gonna go ahead and start up so you can see what I'm talking about.
What you talking about, Willis?
Let's go for it, man.
So in notable depth, what I like to start
here we
with.
go again.
This week, legendary singer Helen Reddy, the Australian-born singer whose feminist anthem "I Am Woman" became a hit at the height of the women's liberation, passed away on 29th of September at age 78. She had dementia, is what I hear that she was battling. And so I wanted to say rest in peace to her. Also, was just informed about the tragedy that singer John Legend and his wife Chrissy Teigen are going through. Their third baby together, who they had named Jack, was born with some health complications that derived from the pregnancy, and he died late last Wednesday.
That's messed up, man.
Yeah, for sure. And our hearts definitely go out to John and Chrissy. I know a few women actually who had miscarriages, stillborns, and I just can't imagine. That's this just unbearable and very difficult. So rest in peace to baby Jack.
Rest in peace.
Now we got on this date, which we added in as a suggestion from someone. And so here we go, bro. Hop in the DeLorean, all right?
Let's go for it, man.
I came here in a time machine that you invented. Now I need your help to get back to the year 1985.
And this baby hits 88 miles per hour. You're gonna see some serious shit.
Whoa, this is heavy. The time machine? What is it, DeLorean?
You're gonna see some serious shit.
All right, so on this date, back in 1922, the first facsimile, am I saying that wrong? I think I'm saying that wrong.
Simile.
Hey!
Jesus. I thought I was smart.
Child, please.
The first fax photo, how about that? was sent over city telephone lines in Washington, D.C. ULIKA and I are pretty well familiar with D.C. I believe Nick is too. And 1992, Sinead O'Connor rips up a picture of the Pope John Paul II, on Saturday Night Live. I remember that clearly. That was like a shocking moment in the country. And in 1995, former NFL running back, I know everybody remembers this, broadcaster and actor O.J. Simpson, who I believe did it, by the way, found not guilty of the murder of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman in Los Angeles, California, which sparked a lot of controversy. And also I added birthdays here. If your birthday's today, you might recognize these celebrities who share it with you. First of all, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
These celebrities share your birthday. Chubby Checker. Chubby Checker is a legendary singer and performer. He turned 79. Gwen Stefani, singer and performer, who's now with Blake Shelton. God's Country. 51 years old. Neve Campbell, actress, is 47. And the Reverend Al Sharpton, who I know has a lot of haters, is 66 years old. And Kevin Richardson, if anybody knows the singer from the Backstreet Boys, I actually don't. He was born in 1971. So what does that make him? Let's see. 4 years older than me. He's 49 years old. And
Damn, you're old, bro.
I'm not going to take that personally.
yes, I am, bro. And Clive Owen, the actor, he's a real good actor. 1964, he was born. I'm not going to do that math. I know he's old. And Tommy Lee, the musician from Motley Crue, is his birthday today. 62 is when he was born. You could do that math. And Talib Kweli, rapper, he's my age, so he just turned 45. And also Stifler from American Pie, and nobody knows his real name. It's Sean William Scott.
Who that is?
You remember him as Stifler, right? That's what he does best.
You dipshit. What the fuck, man? Come on.
Disappointed in you.
He's 44. So anyway, we'll take a break right here, and we'll be back with Dear ODC. Play devil's advocate for me. Ulika,
I have.
want to take us to break?
No, because I have something to add to the facsimile.
Oh boy, go ahead.
All right. So way back when, don't ask me the date, okay? But way back when, an apprentice clockmaker, okay, back then that was a big thing, you know, an apprentice clockmaker who came from a single mother, which, you know, back then a single mother had no respect and, you know, was considered to be a whore and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, you know, he was poor. But he did join forces with a clockmaker. Don't ask me for their names. I don't recall. I actually remember seeing this.
We're so informed.
In the TLC channel, how things work and inventions or something like that. It was many years ago. Anyway, this dude developed the first fax machine way back when. I think it was like in the 1800s or 1700s or something like that. And it didn't take off because he was ridiculed by his peers in the industry of clockmaking.
Wow.
Why was he ridiculed? Because of his mother.
Really?
Yes.
Or did she provoke this?
No.
Invoke
She
this,
was just a single mother. That's the only provocation. You know, women
and back then that was
taboo. Without a husband, you know, that was taboo. They were seen as whores and etc. and not someone to have respect. And the children were called quite frequently bastards. You know, and were not given any due kind of respect either.
All right, well, that's an interesting fact.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time, and he created the first fax machine, but it didn't go anywhere because no one cared for it or cared to listen and actually give him the time of day.
Because of who he was, yeah.
Because of his background, right. Not because he was a loser or anything like that, you know, meaning to say that he was competent or anything like that. He was actually very intelligent and very good at what he did, but they never let him get any further than just theories, I guess you can say, because and they didn't listen to him because of that.
That's terrible.
Interestingly enough.
But that was the time, I guess, the times.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the modus operandum of the time, right? Interestingly enough, I believe it was Rockefeller. It was either Rockefeller or Carnegie, one or the other. They immigrated to the United States by way of Ellis Island. I think it was Rockefeller. And
sounds like it would be Carnegie.
Or maybe it was Carnegie. One or the other. You guys look it up. You got Google. But basically, it's a similar story. He had no respect. He was poor. His mom, you know, his dad had died at an early age, you know, and he just had a single mom. And he had no respect. He was ridiculed and so on and so forth. You know, Europe is kind of fucked up, especially back then. And so he came to the United States with nothing and built himself an empire.
Nice. That's awesome. So that talks a lot to his character and stuff. You know, he was like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and do this, just like we're doing this podcast, and just kind of keep going, you know, even though you have people that are naysayers, and it kind of relates in that way. So go ahead and take us to break, brother, and we'll be back with our guest.
And now a word from our sponsor. We'll be back.
I calculate at 83% probability.
Have you ever wanted to make your own podcast? Anchor can help. It's free. The creation tools allow you to record and edit right off your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. It can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from it too, with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need in a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So welcome back to Off the Cuff. ODC is in the house. And we got a special guest for you guys.
Can we meet him?
We introduced him during this Play Devil's Advocate for me. So let's go ahead and do that.
Are you ready for the devil, man? Are you ready for the devil? Are you ready for the devil, man? Are you ready for
I got a suggestion in the other day that we should talk about our military experiences. And not only that, but what life may be like for people who retire and or exit the military after a few years. They're also assuming that the transition has to be a difficult thing for us. So I got together, along with Ulika, we all got a guest with us that has been in the military for 20 years, or going to be 20 years if I'm correct on that. And so I want to introduce him. His name is Nick. He's a fellow podcaster that I met on the Lemur app that I've been talking about on the last episode, a social networking app for podcasters, audio enthusiasts, DJs, and whatnot. His podcast is called Voice Spark Live. Is that correct, Nick?
Yes,
All
that
right.
is correct.
How you doing, man? Well,
I'm doing great. Hey, thanks for having me on. I really like the chemistry that you and Ulika have. I mean, it's you guys are great. You sound good, and it's a lot of pop culture, which I tend to gravitate to. Whenever you said Kevin Richardson from Backstreet Boys, first thing that came into my mind, he's the tall guy, the oldest one with the caterpillars for eyebrows. He's got the real thick caterpillar eyebrows.
Yes, that's him. And he's got the goatee and the dark hair, really dark. Yeah.
He was the guy in the boy band that was like 35 years old.
Right.
So,
You're getting old.
There's always one, I guess.
There's always one. But no, I'm over 19 years active duty in the Coast Guard. And stationed in Detroit off Mount Elliott Street. So I'm down at the sector. And essentially a sector, what that means is that it's in charge of smaller units, stations, air stations, aids to navigation units, and that's essentially what we do. So my job is I'm essentially a 911 operator. So if you get in trouble out on the water, you call our guys on the radio, or you call us by phone, and we dispatch resources to come and get you, whether it be a boat or a helicopter or a good Samaritan. So that's sort of what I do.
Yeah, that sounds good. When you told me that, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, man. I'm over here actually enjoying, and we might talk about this later because I might bring it up when we do our reviews, but I watched this new show called Emergency 911. And my wife and I are all about it, man. Just it's real life. I think it's real life stuff. And it's kind of course it's produced on TV, but man, we're all into that, man. And we thank you for what you're doing, man. Even if, it is the Coast Guard right now, and you are helping a lot of people. So that's great, man.
Now, I would like to bring up some interesting facts that most people do not know about the Coast Guard. Most people, they think of the Coast Guard as being full-out military, and during peacetime, the Coast Guard actually belongs to the Department of Transportation. Is that right, Nick?
Yes, that was right up until right up until 2004, I believe. So what happened there was pretty interesting. So it's all about money, right?
It's always about money.
Yeah, it's always about money. So they said, "Hey, you guys got a pretty good laundry list of things that you're able to do under the Coast Guard title. Why don't you come on over to DHS and we'll float you some more money." So we actually moved from the Treasury over to DHS. And so whenever the shutdown happened last year, that's why we didn't get paid and everybody else did, because the other branches of military were DOD, whereas we were DHS. Yeah. So that's
what a bummer there. Yeah,
talk
about getting the short end of the stick.
Now,
I
would think that Homeland Security would have been one of those that wouldn't get cut out.
Right.
Yeah, you'd think, but that wasn't the case. And I was joking around. I was joking around with my peers. I mean, you got to stay strong for the guys guys and girls that are below you, right? But I was joking around with them, and I was saying, this is just a fiscal fasting. I mean, some people, they drink water for a month and they fast. I'm just not going to spend any money. I can't. It's a fiscal fast.
You got to think of it that way, yeah.
And they're like, geez, man. They're like, there's something wrong with you. I'm like, it's all right. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so that was the truth up until the enactment of the Department of Homeland Security thing. But yeah.
So what are your
interesting
thoughts?
fact I did not know.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I actually knew one guy who was in the Coast Guard. So I don't know a lot of people. I was in the Navy, and the Army National Guard, and so was Ulika, which we'll talk about later. But I didn't know a lot of Coast Guard guys. I knew some Air Force guys, not a whole lot. And I knew more Navy and Army, obviously, because I was in there. But we always kind of meet up with certain other branches in our missions and stuff. And yeah, Coast Guard, and the funny thing is I met one guy that and it wasn't even while I was in. It was while I was working at a Navy agency. So as a contractor, go figure. But yeah, they always kind of like shunned, it's like, oh man, the Coast Guard ain't real military. But you guys are out there doing military work, right? I mean, am I right?
There's a Navy
and
they call out, all the branches to come and join them running. And what they say about the Coast Guard is puddle pirate the Coast Guard. Come on over and run with me.
Well, you know what? Hey, you know what's interesting about that? I always, I was talking about this today with one of the guys that I was working with, and he's an officer, and I'm a chief petty officer. I'm just I'm an E7,
wow.
and
Nice.
he was like, thanks, and we were talking about Coast Guard and all that stuff, and I said, if I was in charge of the Coast Guard, I would get so aggressive with our marketing campaign. Every time I talked, I would just make fun of another branch,
Yeah,
and
there you go.
and he's like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, like if I was somewhere and I was talking about the Navy, I'd say, you want to know why those Navy kids look so good? Because half of them are made up of coasties. That's why. Because they need the coasties take care of the Navy wives whenever they go out to sea.
Oh,
oh.
That'd be a good one, actually.
Yeah, get and I told him
kind of get in that mix. Yeah, kind of get in that mix of making fun of the branches, because that's what they do. We all did as military brothers and sisters and stuff. We just kind of poke fun at everything, Marines, jarheads.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I think
squids for Navy. What's that?
You know what? I think that's what's great about the armed services, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how like there's like the fraternal order of police officers and the fraternal order of firefighters. I kind of think that there should be like this, and there may be like this fraternal order of service members, because even though I may not know you or have met you, but if I know that you've served, we have that commonality, and we know what the struggles are of from everything from falling in love to paying rent while you're halfway across the planet. Those are the things that we share, and or even in some cases being shot at. So I think that there's organizations out there that do that, but man, that's one of the things that I truly cherish. I think it's just great that there's people out there that have these kind of commonalities, and as far as the Coast Guard goes, one of the things that attracted me to it was the humanitarian missions. Like, the Coast Guard's not gonna be the one that's gonna rush the beach and be on that front line. But the front line that they're going to be on is saving people from burning boats and stopping drugs from getting into America and saving wildlife and cleaning up pollution spills. Like every single mission of the Coast Guard has some sort of humanitarian element to it, and I just for me that made the decision for me pretty easy. I was like, okay, cool, I want to be a part of this.
Now, on that list of yours, you forgot to mention, and I'm guessing you were trying to be politically correct, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, you forgot to mention the dumbasses that put themselves at harm's way, dumbass motherfucker, for then the Coast Guard to come and rescue them.
Oh, every day. Every day. It's if I could say one thing about that, it is the sea, the lake, water in general is not forgiving. Do not, under any circumstances, ever underestimate water, because it's terrible. And some of the things
Poseidon will fuck you up.
He will. And I don't know. It sucks. And especially working in a 911, we call them our sector command centers. but especially working in there and seeing things, hearing things, and it sucks. I mean, it's crazy. So, an interesting point. I don't even like the water. I get seasick.
I'm with you, bro.
That's Jeff right there. Big Jefe himself joined the Navy, and I was like, bro, you always talk about how you hate swimming.
I hate water.
What the hell are you gonna do on a ship?
I don't even like drinking water. I don't know what it is. And let me tell you, I live like 4 miles away from my in-laws. They have a great big pond that was man-made, beautiful. I always give my father-in-law, even though we don't really get along that great, we're trying to now. I give him a lot of props for that. It was built around 15 years ago, and I remember I've been with my wife for 20. So I remember when it wasn't there and it was just land, and all of a sudden this beautiful pond. So, but I went inside it, and I swim in it and all this stuff, but I don't enjoy it like other people. People love water. I don't. And I was in the Navy, and I can't swim.
What?
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just.
So I'm going to interject here because I myself, I love the water.
I know.
And my first choice would have been the Navy, but the Navy wouldn't take me. And before that, actually, I was a sea explorer. I'm guessing that, Nick, you've had some experiences with sea explorers?
Yeah, I've been the Bering
They're now
Sea.
called, by the way, Sea Scouts now. They're not called sea explorers anymore.
Okay, you're talking about Sea Scouts. Okay, cool. But to be honest with you, I've been everywhere from the Bering Sea all the way down to off of the Galapagos Islands. I've cut around there.
I have an interesting story about the Galapagos Islands also.
Of course.
Jeez.
Cool. What is it?
Yeah.
Now
don't leave us in suspense.
This actually, bro, probably something that you don't know. What you might know
Are you saying I know everything else? Because that's
you pretty much know everything about my life,
man.
But
okay.
one of the
I thought you meant in general.
No, I'm talking about my life.
Oh,
Life in itself.
All right. I'll take it.
As you know, bro, I don't know if you remember, but I believe you do.
Yeah,
I had
do
just
remember
turned
that.
14 when I got my scuba license. And in one of our episodes, I did mention my hardships in getting my scuba license. With my cheap-ass parents who didn't want to pay for it and to them was dangerous. And,
I blame the parents too.
So I get it, they didn't want me to go skydiving, and scuba diving and etc. But basically, what you might also remember is I was a huge fan of oh Jesus, now I can't even remember his name. No, Jacques Cousteau.
Okay, I was going to say James Bond, but that's another,
That's a whole other topic. Well, that's a whole other topic. We'll get to James Bond at another episode.
All right. So Jacques Cousteau.
Jacques Cousteau was, one of my heroes, my idols, when I was a kid growing up. And I was part of the Jacques Cousteau Society. So when I got my scuba license, I wrote the Jacques Cousteau Society a letter addressed to, Jacques Cousteau himself. And I got an invitation from him to join them on an expedition aboard the Calypso. I'm sure, Nick, you've heard of the Calypso, right?
Yes.
The Calypso was the vessel.
How old were you, bro, when this happened? I don't know if
I was 14. Well, I was 14.
14, okay. So we had just met, or maybe even not met yet.
We had just met. It was just after our first camping trip.
Okay.
Right, with a family group, and over that winter, or the fall rather, I wrote a letter to Jacques Cousteau, letting him know that I just recently got, my scuba license, open water 1. I'm licensed to, 2 atmospheres, etc. Blah blah blah, and I'm a huge fan, and I'm a member of the Jacques Cousteau Society for the last 6 years, and I would like to join him.
Wow.
So he extended an invitation to join an expedition aboard the Calypso on the Galapagos Islands with an itinerary and how many dives and everything else.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Here's the kicker.
That's amazing.
Here's the kicker.
There's always a kicker.
Yes, of course. I had to pay to get there.
Oh. Thousands of dollars, I bet.
When I was a minor, I needed my parents' permission.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Well, guess what?
They said
my parents, and they said no.
Don't need to argue. Parents just don't understand.
Crush
Are you crazy,
dreams, man?
You're going to go off to the Galapagos Islands? There's problems, Argentina, and, I think it was Argentina and Great Britain are fighting over those islands, all kinds of stuff, and they came up with all kinds of crap. But then my dad said, in conclusion, he said, "Well, it is impressive that Jacques Cousteau himself invited you, but I don't."
But no,
exactly. They just dream crushers.
Yeah, man.
So I did the next best thing. Years later, I was already like 16 going on 17. No, actually, I think I was already 17. No, 16 going on 17. I discovered the Sea Scouts. Back then, the program was called Sea Explorers.
Right.
They had a little differentiation there. You were a Sea Scout up until the age of 14. Beyond the age of 14, you were an explorer. And the Sea Explorers back then was the only exploring program of the Boy Scouts of America that had its own advancement. And, you have all kinds of different explorers. You have mountaineers. They just call them mountaineers. They don't call them mountain explorers. And, it's all just like with the Coast Guard. It's all about being prepared, rescuing, rendering aid, humanitarian type of things. Of course, with sea exploring, it's all about sailing and enjoying the water. And their mission was to encourage the youth to take up careers in maritime careers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we worked very closely with the Coast Guard auxiliary flotillas.
Yep. That's one thing that, really helps us out are the auxiliary people. They're amazing. And yeah, I think it's great to get kids involved in something and try to get them into something, broaden their horizons. I mean, all that's pretty cool. I was on a boat from 2002 to 2005. It was the Cutter Midget out of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah, it was called the Midget. Well, the midget name in the Coast Guard, these people, they're famous. They've saved people.
So it's not like what like what it means out here.
No,
Okay.
no. This is like two T's at the end.
Okay.
But no, he, so I'm on the Midget and we go down to Puerto Vallarta. I'm sitting there and it was like one of my first patrols. So we pull into Puerto Vallarta and my neck's hurting me. My back's hurting me. I'm sleeping in a rack, a coffin rack, which you probably know about. And it's, I've got, toilet paper for sheets and, cardboard for a mattress, stuff, the good stuff. And,
right.
And I'm like, I got to go get a massage. So I'm like, where can I go get a massage? And in the taxi cab driver, I could still see him and my buddy's there. His name was Ryan. And the guy's like, do you really want a massage? Like, what kind of massage do you want?
I've been really trying, baby.
And I'm like a real massage. So I had to explain to this cab driver.
I get it.
I had to explain to this cab
This is going to Mama San's massage parlor.
Yeah. I had to explain to this cab driver that I really wanted a massage and that I didn't want anything crazy. So whenever I get to this place, he's like, oh, okay, I get it. You want a massage? I'm like, yeah.
Hell no.
Like 15-minute conversation, right? Back and forth. So we go there. And once I enter the, the physical therapy office or whatnot, there are these huge signs with red lettering. I'll never forget them. I could see them in my mind. And it says, this is like a massage therapist, blah, blah, blah. Do not ask for any inappropriate favors. If you do, your session will be terminated and you will not receive a refund for your services. And I'm like, holy shit. That's crazy. right? Like that's
Where's Mama San? Where's Mama San?
Yeah. So I mean, so I'm sitting there and you know and you know I'm like 22, 23 at the time. I can't help but laughing because I just find it so funny that, you know, like this guy actually thought that I wanted this whenever I wanted that. And it's just, it was hilarious. But hey, you know what? I got the massage and it cost me like $40. So it was all good.
All good. All's well that ends well, right?
That's exactly right.
Real quick, Nick,
Yeah.
could you share with our listeners what is the Coast Guard Auxiliary flotillas?
Yeah. So what the Coast Guard does is they have this thing called the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and it's set up all across the country, just like the regular Coast Guard. But what makes these people special is it's all volunteer, and they go out and their primary mission is safety and security, but of your vessel. So let's say you need like a safety inspection, or you want to make sure that your life jackets are within rigs, you know, you have enough protective equipment on board, or the proper fire extinguisher. They'll come out and they will do that stuff complimentary. Like you can hook up with them at your marina and they'll run you through all the check sheets and they'll make sure you're up to snuff on that. So whenever the real Coast Guard comes by and does an inspection on you, they don't, you know, write you a ticket or whatnot.
Actually, I did not know that the Coast Guard gave tickets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We what's interesting is the majority of our ticket writing comes from pollution. Like if you pollute and we find out, you're going to pay, and you're going to pay a lot. Like we're talking a lot. And
well, with that particular point, I do agree. I do agree because water pollution and pollution in general is just terrible.
Yeah, it's detrimental
and I
to
see
everyone.
people all the time, you know. One of the biggest issues that I have with being out on the water, and by the way, I used to have my own vessel, so I guess by right, according to the Coast Guard, I'm a captain.
Look at me. Sure, I'm the captain now.
Yep, you captain your vessel.
Look at that.
That's right.
Captain Jesus.
I
made it.
I want you. Do you have one of those hats with the anchor on it?
Oh yeah, look just like Gilligan's hat.
Nice.
That's it. It's a requirement. No, the other place where, here's an interesting one for you. The other place where you get a lot of our fines and a lot of our penalties come from are Mayday calls. So
Mayday.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you have no idea how often.
Well, I have something to add to that.
Of course.
Bro, you might remember that one of my many merits that I got, or awards as they call them in the Sea Exploring program, was communications. I was a communication specialist.
Yep.
Right.
And I did not know until I actually, you know, sat down and studied this stuff, that there are 3 different ways of hailing on the radio.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
You know, let me see if I remember them. It's Securite, Pawn, and most people just think, you know, a lot of people, they go out and they buy a boat because it looks good, because they want to get out on the water. Yep. You know, they want to have a certain feeling of pride, I guess you can say, you know, status symbol. Yep. And they go out and they buy these VHF radios. Some are expensive, some are inexpensive, some are mid-range. Usually people buy the mid-range to more expensive. And, you know, as soon as they start using the radio, they call out Mayday.
Yep. We've had people who are like, can I get a radio check? And it's like not the Coast Guard's job to give you a radio check, you know?
Yeah.
And,
wow.
And so we'll sit there and we'll wait, and then we'll hear the same SOB go, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. And we're like, hey,
oh, no.
Hey, your radio works. Did you just call out Mayday? Yeah. But where what really happens is whenever there's those distress calls like that, and we search for hours and hours and hours, and we launch a cutter and an aircraft, here's the crazy thing about that. We then take those people to court. It's at a minimum $250,000 fine. Crazy money, right?
Wow.
And then the Coast Guard charges you for every single thing under the sun. Like my job, they would calculate how many hours I worked that day, And then they have a book. I forget what it's called, but it's like a finance book. You open it up, you go to the chart, you're like, okay, E7 per hour, 67.50. Okay, he was there for 12 hours. Boom, boom, boom. There's another $3,000. I mean, they will come after.
Not to mention the aircraft fuel, the fuel for the vessel that went out, and it's not just you that was sitting there taking the call, but you have the crew also for the dinghies that are searching, and the flight crew as well.
That's crazy.
For those of a Mayday call is where life is endangered. Where life is endangered.
Right. Yeah. Or the vessel.
And the Coast Guard takes that very, very seriously.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Or the vessel, a fire on the vessel.
Yeah, I just looked it up too. It says it's internationally recognized too. So like when you send that out, man, I can see why they charge you so much if it's not a real thing,
Yeah, and then you have
that
those
should
other
only be
jokesters.
used in emergency.
And then you have those other jokesters who will go and name their boat Payday, which whenever you say it over a radio, it sounds just
rhymes.
like Mayday.
Yeah, that sounds. Oh man!
But you know what?
These guys don't even they don't think ahead.
They don't think ahead. I think the most clever boat name that I had ever seen, and I thought it was kind of funny. It was called Accounts Payable. So
that is good. That's good.
I'm like, that's a good one. I'm like, that's going to go in the good one column. But no, I mean, I've got 19. Like I'm going on 20. I've got 240 days left, and
nice.
I'm trying to
count down.
Oh yeah, well, I got to be honest. I got to be honest with you guys. I've been counting down since 7,400. That was day number 1. I was sitting there thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, what did I sign up for? I got guys yelling at me, throwing trash cans down hallways and stuff. And I mean, you know what it's like. You were there. That boot camp, no joke. People,
Yes, I was about to talk about that, but I wanted you guys to share your maybe your feeling at that time when you joined for the first time. You want to go first, Nick?
Yeah, it was a whole day's worth of traveling. I had to fly out of Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, got on a bus, did this, did that, boom, boom, boom. I slept so good that night that I honestly forgot where I was at. And when I woke up and I heard that trash can hit the floor, I was like, I'm not in Kansas anymore. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, so that was my first experience that day. I was like, oh, shit.
Bro, did you experience the same thing, bro? Because I know that your situation was a little bit different, but I think the initial boot camp was the same, wasn't it?
Well, in my experience, I was expecting, something like out of Full Metal Jacket.
Because I am hard, you will not like me. But the more you hate me, the more you will learn.
Kind of like what Nick is describing. But when I got to Fort Benning, first of all, the trip was pretty fun. Me and my compadres, we actually recited. I could still recite the whole speech from the drill sergeant in that movie of Full Metal Jacket. In fact, me and my compadres all did. I think we were all so excited to go that we rewatched and rewatched that show. Wow. I mean that movie.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I do too. That's a 4.5 stars right there.
Not
but
a 5
I'll
star?
tell you.
Anyway.
I was disappointed, we got to the gate. Drill sergeant came in. I was like, oh, yes, this is it. It's going to start, man. Yeah, I got this.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
And, he screamed out. He came first of all. He spoke very softly.
You ever served in an infantry unit? Ever put your life in another man's hands? Asked him to put his life in yours? We follow orders, son. We follow orders or people die. It's that simple.
He said, when I say so, you guys are going to get up. You're going to grab your things. You're going to walk out. There's yellow markings on the floor. You're going to put your feet on top of those yellow markings.
And you were like, what the fuck?
I said, hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
I'm going to ask you guys to get up. People were too slow. So then that's when the screaming started,
10 fucking seconds. It should take you no less than 10 fucking seconds to negotiate this obstacle.
And we all rushed out and everything, find the yellow markers, and there's always a dumbass in the group, that put his left foot on the right foot of the other guy's markings, you know?
Dumbass
motherfucker. But it's like, we spent the next few hours, I guess you could say, in processing. They told us to take off our left shoe so that they could look at our pronation. They told us to, go through our bag and pull out our razors and stuff like that. And if you didn't have a razor, ask your neighbor that's next to you if he's got one that he can give you.
Right.
I remember I gave it to this one kid. I don't remember his name, but I remember the nickname that we gave him. Actually, I gave it to him. We nicknamed him Slasher. Slasher. Because he was kind of like a skittish guy, he was skinny, and kind of, always like a nervous wreck and shit, and at first, they didn't have a space for us that we could call our own, if you will. So they took us into different bays and said, okay, you got 6 beds here, you got 13 beds there, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I was one of those guys that didn't have a bed. And so I got put with, there was this whole thing and, Alpha Company, Bravo Company, Charlie Company, at Fort Benning. And there were differences. So like Charlie's, for example, they were there to do just regular boot camp. And then they were going to do something like, some sort of secretary type work or, nothing major. Major in terms of, combat arms. Bravos, they were just typically just infantry, and then Alphas were all going off. They were also infantry, but, with appointments to ranger schools and stuff like that. And they were all gung-ho. And, and then later on, we found out that the Alphas pretty much all had some difficulties during high school, like some did juvenile detention. Some had some behavioral issues with their parents, family members. Some came from difficult families or difficult home lives, and most had GEDs. Go figure that. It just kind of seemed that way. But I'll tell you this, I felt like I was at home.
Really?
From that very first minute. Yeah.
Good morning, my neighbors! Hey, fuck you! Yes! Yes! Fuck you too!
Our first barracks where we slept, and Slasher was part of our group. There was 13 of us there. We slept with the Bravo Company. And those guys, we just looked at them like they were a bunch of criminals.
You filthy criminals.
Seriously, they were just a bunch of criminals. Wow. I mean, the minute that we got there, it felt like I didn't step foot in the military. I thought I was in prison or something, They tried to intimidate you, you went to go use the bathroom, all of a sudden you got 6, 7 guys out there, just huddling around you and shit,
Wow.
And so one of those nights, I think it was the second day or third day, there was a guy, Gutierrez, he was from New York, Brooklyn. And, of course, having been from New York, you create a certain bond right away.
Right.
And Slasher was his battle buddy. And he felt a certain way about him. Because he's like, man, that's my battle buddy right there. What's going to happen when, these guys bunch up on me, He's kind of skittish and a nervous wreck and shit, What happened is he had fallen. He was a clumsy type of individual. And he had fallen running to accountability formation at 4:00 in the morning. He tripped all over himself.
No.
There was nothing for him to trip on except his own big feet,
man.
And so he scraped up his knees, and the drill sergeant, of course, doing accountability, and he's in shorts. He sees his knees. He's like, what happened to your knees? He's like, I fell. And the drill sergeant's like, yeah, I bet you did.
Oh, no. Man.
Situation was there.
Yeah.
And so I turned to Gutierrez, and I was like, look, man, we're going to have to build him up if, he's your battle buddy. And if you don't look out for him now, you can't really count on him, So, he was joking about his knees and everything else and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, this is the kind of individual that, later on in life, he's been picked on most of his life, and he's kind of clumsy, and people always making fun of him. That soon enough, he's the one you're gonna see in the news and shit. Serial slasher and shit with a big ass knife. So that's how we got the name Slasher. Okay. Would you believe that when I told him that I'm gonna call him from now on Slasher, he had the biggest grin on his face. I mean, he loved that name. And everyone called him Slasher.
Wow. That probably gave him like confidence in himself or something. Some kind of
he
identity.
He PT stud. Yeah. He had a perfect PT score.
You know what?
Perfect 300.
It's little stuff, and it's amazing what we can do whenever we're just shoved into a corner with a bunch of people like us.
Yeah. To motivate people too. Yeah. It's like, wow, they change.
So my boot camp, my commanders told us, and I can remember this plain as day. They said, "Hey, we knew we had a special group of guys and girls here. Whenever the first 3 files we picked up in the company was Sadler, Roper, and Fokker."
Like meet the Fokkers. Okay.
Like Fokker. Like I'm gonna,
Is your name Gaylord Fokker? Yes or no?
So, it was kind of funny. And and the interesting fact was, and you guys, this might blow your mind, but going to boot camp was the first time that I actually got to see the ocean.
Wow!
Because I lived in like inland Pennsylvania, and we didn't really, we really didn't go on vacation or anything, and so being 18 years old. And being like ripped out of my environment that I've known all my life and thrown into the beach, that was the first time that I had seen the ocean. It was pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. You said that you grew up in Pittsburgh.
I grew up
is that right?
About 30 miles south of Pittsburgh. It's a small town called Brownsville.
Yeah, I've been there.
Nice.
Yeah. I was a DirecTV contractor, and so for a few years I was a jump tech. So wintertime, there's a shortage of techs in certain areas like Milwaukee and Pittsburgh and etc. So I'm guessing that the only water that you really saw in Pittsburgh was maybe the floods.
That was it. Like when the water rise, that was it.
And rain.
But no, I got a big shock. I got a big shock whenever I got off that bus.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, I'm ready. Like I said, I had once sat down. I left Cleveland in 2015, and you have your exit interview, right? And I'm sitting there with a 2-star admiral, and I look at her and I say, Admiral, whenever the book of Nick Saka's life is written, the Coast Guard's going to be a few chapters. It's not going to be the entire book. And she's like, I get that. I understand. Because some people, they'd be afraid to talk to, people of a higher rank or whatnot. I mean, I didn't give a shit. I mean, I look at it this way, right? If I could,
there were people.
They're people. They put their pants on the same way.
We just said that in our last episode.
I was thinking the same thing. We just talked about that. But go ahead.
Yeah. And my whole thing is you have to recognize that. And even though they may have a bigger influence in life or their job or whatever, that they're still people. And and the one thing that she told me that I always remembered was the first thing they tell you at Admiral School is that nobody's ever going to tell you the truth anymore. And I'm like, okay. So I made it a point to be completely abundantly truthful with her or with anybody else that I ever came in contact with. So I try to run the whole gambit of being as truthful as possible. So that's my thing. That was my takeaway.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you this. My time at Fort Benning, this is before boot camp when I was in the holding battalion. The reception battalion, they call it, the reception battalion, 30th AG. When I finally got to the actual barracks for Alpha Company, that was like a proud moment for me, Actually, the proudest moment for me was when they issued me my uniform. But I was also bay leader. Somehow I became bay leader, for 80 guys. And so one night, of course, you have young guys that just don't give a shit and they don't get it. And, we do fire watch. I'm sure you guys had fire watch as well. Not just.
You mean in the Coast Guard or
but
Navy?
also
all night long.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. I had fire, snow.
They all,
yeah.
Yeah. And so as a matter of practice, they start us off from day one or night one, because we got there at night, with Firewatch, where, everyone has to take a half hour or an hour, and choose a time slot, and you go to sleep, and then they wake you up so that you could do your bit. And now that I was Bay leader, I didn't really have to do it, but I did do it. I usually did the last hour and a half, just before everyone woke up. Anyway, the fire watch that was supposed to be there, I guess it was maybe midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. He went to sleep.
Oh no. Yikes. Yikes.
He went to sleep. And company commander happened to be a woman. Not only was she a woman, but she was a very pretty woman.
Damn, girl.
And I didn't know that, that was our company commander. I've always seen those sergeants and shit. Either way, a woman coming into, a men's barracks, when they're asleep, you're going to find all kinds of stuff, guys that are sleeping shirtless and so on. I happen to have just my shorts on, no underwear, because, I like to go Rambo.
It's Commando.
And she comes in, she sneaks in, everybody's snoring and shit. No fire watch, because that dumbass went to sleep.
Fucking loser!
And all the screaming started, right? And the usual at ease, everyone jump up off their bunks and shit,
What are you trying to do to my beloved Corps?
Nervous.
Sir! Sir, what? Are you about to call me an asshole? Sir, no!
Guy broke his leg doing that because, his mate underneath him didn't put his foot locker underneath. Landed on the foot locker, broke his ankle, Meanwhile, she's telling him to suck it up and drive on. Who the hell is Bay leader?
Who's your squad leader, scumbag?
And of course, that's me, right? And, I stayed shut, not because I was afraid, but because I was like, wow, look at that woman. Yeah.
She's so beautiful. Coño, man. Talk to me, baby.
It's been a few weeks.
Man.
Wow. And then she comes to talk to me, and bro, she had the most beautiful eyes.
It's terrible! She has beautiful eyes, and her hair smells like cinnamon! Mm-hmm. Loud!
The most beautiful eyes. And then her lips. Oh, my God, her lips, bro.
Such pleasant things from your lips. Excuse me. Breathing is difficult.
You can guess what happened next, right? I'm shirtless, I'm barefoot, I have my shorts on, but no underwear, And she's asking me questions, and I just kept looking at her mouth and her eyes and shit. I couldn't, and she had an ass too. Geez. She also had an ass too, bro. Even in her BDU, you see that beautiful shape of a woman,
I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body.
And I got tongue-tied. I was like,
What the hell did you just say?
And then it happened.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Don't get a boner. Don't get a boner. No, 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 no.
The hard-on came on.
No. Bad time.
Bad timing, bro. And, I'm trying to answer her, right? And when I finally did, get the words out, I said, sir, instead of ma'am.
Damn, son.
I'm not a sir. I'm a ma'am. Then she looks down.
She is hitting on me. Holy shit.
Oh no, she looked out. God damn, and this thing is moving out, and man, and then she wants to teach me a lesson, and all that. How that goes.
You can't do push-ups that way, though.
Well, that's not what happened, bro. She didn't tell me to do push-ups. She told me to get the leaning front rest position, right? And then she went off on everybody else
until you. Oh, okay, yeah.
with this flagpole sticking out of his shorts, and how I am to the company commander and all kinds of shit. And everybody get your shit, be outside in 2 minutes.
Oh man.
So here we are, all rushing and open up our Foot Lockers, pack all of our shit into our duffel bags, run outside and shit. It's freezing cold, and everyone is like, "Yo, Jesus, man, why'd you do that shit?" Jesus, like
it was Jesus Jr.
The bitch staring at your eyes, okay, talking with those lips. Your ass isn't going to get a fucking hard on. Fuck you.
Fuck you, fucking dipshit.
Oh, man. That's hilarious, bro. That's classic.
And the longer you stay, now the thing about Fort Benning is, and this is where it gets to be interesting, right? Because I was always told, and this was kind of true up until I met this major, that Fort Benning, it's an all-male recruit place. So it's nothing but men, which is true. We were all men there. There was no women training there, right? So the only women that we would see were either nurses or the ladies that worked at the DFAC dining facility, right?
Hello, ladies.
And at first, it was this lady, man. She had this pirate-looking chin with like a really nice goatee. I mean, her goatee looked better than mine, bro. Okay? I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. And, but I've always been a polite young man, and I always say, good morning, how are you doing? How's your family,
Long peaky, long mincy.
And, she took a liking to me, so I used to get 2 scoops of eggs. And then the other ladies would also give me, a little extra sausage and a little, and that's how it was. But I was just being me, polite,
Wow.
And my buddies there, they're like, yo, after a couple of weeks, they're like, yo, we're going to tie you up and we're going to pimp you out for a Happy Meal.
Might as well use you to their
goatee
advantage.
lady, the pirate lady. Because we used to talk about her, like, yo, you see that lady there, man? She's got a goatee thicker than mine, stuff like that.
I'm jealous of her goatee.
But you know what? But after some time, it's human nature. You start to,
yeah,
she's looking kind of good today.
No. Wow.
So. And of course, it was a surprise to me when, this major, comes in with another female sergeant, actually, staff sergeant.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Into the barracks in the middle of the night. And I was like, oh, my God.
Another one.
She's got like these hazel, it's like, she was light skinned, but she had like these hazel bluish type eyes. Greenish type eyes, and they were beautiful. Like they sparkled, man.
That's one of my weaknesses.
They sparkled.
His light eyes like that.
And then she had gloss on those big puffy lips. And then it's like she had that walk. Although she wore, combat boots, she had that walk. It was very feminine. And, with the hips and shit. And I couldn't help myself. I mean, I had like 2 weeks, come on. 3 weeks,
and you're surrounded by dudes. So.
Yeah, it was a month. Okay, let me give myself some credit, to not make it look like I was a desperate guy.
Oh, man.
I love women, not in a creepy way. It's just more of a respectful appreciation. I think it's great that there is an elite force of women warriors. It's about time.
So, that was kind of like my experience there. I was at the holding battalion, reception battalion for like ever. And it was discovered that I had a pre-existing eye condition that, in their books from like way back when, before World War I, there was a disqualifier, but I did have some sergeants there, some drill sergeants there that took a liking to me. Of course, when drill sergeants, recognize you out of 3,000 men, you're going to get smoked a little bit more often than everybody else.
Hey, you heard the man. Hit the deck or I smoke you.
And I'm going to point you out more often than everybody else. And, the impossible tasks, the most difficult tasks, you're volunteered, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? And they did push me downrange to go into actual boot camp. But that major with the DSLs, you know, she with the beautiful eyes, she came out of that and pulled me out. Yeah.
Well,
I think in actuality she might have heard me talking about it, but I don't know. I think she never forgave me for that, you know, hard-on business.
I'm gonna stop you there.
I gotta say that flattery takes on a lot of forms, you know.
Yeah, true.
Yes,
and beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
But I don't think she was easily flattered.
Sure she was.
I'm gonna need to be getting off of here, but Big Jefe ULIKA, I really enjoyed being on the show, and like I said, you know, part of the thing that I'm trying to do whenever I get out is really get into the whole Alexa universe. So if you got anybody that owns those devices or know of anybody who needs help figuring them out, send them our way. They could do a web search, you know, voice spark, and it should something of ours should come up. But we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, Facebook, whole 9 yards.
Nice. All right, well, it was a pleasure having you, bro. It really was. I'm glad I met you.
It was a pleasure, Nick. And I do apologize that Big Jefe talked so much, and we didn't actually get to finishing the conversation, you know, that we wanted to.
Well, hey, guys, thanks again.
But definitely thank you for coming on.
Yeah, let me know whenever this goes live, because then I'll put it out on my socials as well, okay?
Okay, sure. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Nick, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good time.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, man. Enjoy the rest of this cast on the next episode, episode 15, available now.